Okay, welcome to the call, everybody. This is our first in the series of 16 different trainings that we're going to do, and we're going to start out with something called Jumpstart Your Business. And before we get started, I want to make sure everybody has their oils with them because we'll always be using oils for every single one of our trainings since we are an oil business, right? So the oils that I want you to have on hand today, and we'll have different ones every single time, are ginger and lime. And the reason why I chose these is because ginger is really, really good for feeling empowered. And that's what we need. If you're in a place of your business, whether it's going fabulous, great, exciting, or you need a little jump start, which is what we're talking about, you need to feel empowered to know what to do, how to do it, and to feel like I can do this, right? So we're going to take that one drop of ginger, just put it in your hand. And then we're going to take lime to go with that. And lime is the zest for life. Okay, these are the emotion properties that go with these oils. So we're going to feel empowered and we're going to have zest for life as we jumpstart our business. Okay, so as we get started, one thing I want to make sure you know about this is when you jumpstart your business, it doesn't mean that you're just brand new in the business. You can be whatever level you're at. You may have been in the business for 3 years, but you want to do something a little bit different that'll jumpstart it, get it going off the ground, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get started. First of all, where did this come from? This is actually my story. This is what I did from day one up until today. This is the exact program that I used. And it works so well, I still use it today. So let me tell you a little bit about this. And I'll tell you a little bit later, but every single person that I actually helped who said to me, Diane, I think I want to do this as a business. I started them on this program, and everybody who has actually done the program 100% has had success in the business. The reason why I know that is because I've had a lot of people who I've taught this to on other teams. It was something that I taught at leadership about 1.5 years ago. doterra asked me to do a training on this. And afterwards, I can't even begin to tell you the amount of people who kept contacting me from other teams saying, I love this, I want to do it. And they started doing the training on their team. And several of them were seeing a huge amount of success. So they contacted me and they asked me the question. This was about 3 weeks ago. And they said, Diane, what type of success have you seen on your team from those who actually did this? And I'll be honest with you, there's people who I taught this to who did it 100%. And there's people who I taught it to who kind of did some a little bit, halfway, and then kind of added their own little thing to it. But I looked back and I have a list of all my personal enrollments. Those who did this 100%, like exactly the way we're teaching it today, have had success in their business, 100% of them. So if you're in a place where like, I want 100% success, that would be awesome. Take good notes because I think you'll find this is something that's pretty easy to do. It's very duplicatable and anybody can do it. I started from not having a clue about essential oils and not being really confident about speaking in front of people, but I did it. So let's get started. You guys ready? Okay. So here's the 4 steps. There's really just 4 steps to this. The first one is to make sure that you find out what your why is. Why are you doing this as a business? Why is doTERRA important to you? And then make sure you set a goal, okay? So let's talk about that a little bit. Actually, before we talk a little bit, let me just give you all the steps and so you'll know what we're doing. So once you know your why and you've set a goal, then step number 2 is we're going to schedule 4 classes in 1 week. Whether you're brand new or whether you've been in the business for a long time, this is going to be something that will be awesome to jumpstart your business. Okay. After you've scheduled those 4 classes, we want to make sure, step number 3, that there's people at the class, right? There's no reason to set 4 classes and then nobody show up. So we're going to show you how to make sure you have people who actually show up at the class and you have a good, strong attendance. And then step number 4, from those classes, we want to show you how to make sure you get future classes on your calendar. Because even if you had 4 awesome classes and everybody enrolled and it was fabulous, but nobody booked a class, you're starting over again. And no, we don't want to start all over again. We want to make sure our business continues down the road, right? So these are the 4 steps that we're going to learn today. I'm going to teach you, but we're going to start right now with step number 1 and why that is so important. So let me share with you. Step number 1, finding your why and setting a goal. So I want to share with you a little bit about what my why is. When I first started with doTERRA, I was a full-time piano teacher. I had 60 students. That was like more students than most anybody ever had. I was filled to the capacity. I could not take any more students if I wanted to. I've been teaching piano lessons for about 25 years. That was my degree. Also, have you seen my cute 4 little kids there? And we were in a huge amount of debt, like huge, like $300,000 plus. And it was weighing on our shoulders. Both of us worked, and I really wanted something that would get us out of that huge amount of debt that we had. It was just a huge weight on our shoulder. And I keep saying huge because I feel that heaviness again as I talk about this. And I know that some of you out there feel that. I know many of you are in that same type of situation. But here's the deal. My why really wasn't about the money. Even though I wanted to get out of debt, my why was more about why I had to work and what it was taking away from my family. So when I was working, it was between the hours of 3 to 6 every day. So as a piano teacher, you teach kids, right? And when you teach kids, it's after school. So 3 to 6 of my hours of working, which meant my kids were gone during the day. Then they'd get home from school and I was working. So I loved being a mother. And I felt like I really wasn't a very good mother at the time because I didn't see my kids very often. So my why was not only just get out of debt, but to be able to feel like I could breathe and be the mom that I wanted to be. So I was available. So let me tell you a little about each of my kids and why this pushed me so hard to make sure doTERRA worked for me. So if you see this girl right here, when she was in junior high and high school, she played volleyball on a volleyball team. And I love that. She was fabulous. She was a great player. The deal is I never got to see her play, ever. That's because of the hours that I worked from 3 to 6. That hurt my heart. Every day that I canceled lessons that day, it was a huge amount of income that was lost for our family, and I couldn't do it. We were just barely living paycheck to paycheck. That was hard for me. So one of my whys for her specifically was to be available and be there for their after-school sports and anything they want to participate in. This little boy right here, I say little because he's now big. This picture, this was about 1.5 years ago, but you see his face right there, he has braces on. But back then, when I first started doTERRA, he didn't have braces and his teeth needed braces and we couldn't afford them. As I told you, we were living paycheck to paycheck. So it was difficult to even just pay for the small little things. And I would look at that little boy every day and think, he needs braces, and we couldn't afford them. As you can see on that picture there, he's smiling really big and he has braces on. That's because we've now been able to afford them. So back then my why was to be able to provide things for my kids that I couldn't. This little girl right here, she's an artist and she is a great artist. We have little pictures all over our house. I mean, it's just a natural talent she has. I always wanted to put her in some type of art class or something to help develop her talents, and that was not in the budget. It wasn't something we could do at all. So today, she's taking art classes. She actually has several things that she's made and done. I feel like I'm able to help her in a way that I couldn't before. And this little boy right here, this is our cute little Trayson. He was 4.5 in this picture. He's now 6. And I'll just tell a little bit of his story. Some of you know this already, but he was in an accident that almost took his life. And that was really, really hard on our family. So I'll just tell you a little bit. I usually don't get emotional, but every once in a while, you never know what's going to come out. But when he was 4 years old, accidentally, he was run over in our yard and was not supposed to live that day. And as the ambulance was taking him away, I remember talking to the ambulance man and saying, how does it look? And he said, it doesn't look good. I'm just going to be honest with you. And we did not expect to have that little boy that night. That was really, really hard for us. But what happened that day and that week was a miracle. And because of the oils and because a lot of prayers from family and everything that happened, that little boy you can see today is happy, healthy. You would have no issues if you ever saw him right now to think that he ever went through what he did. The reason why I'm telling that story and what it has to do with doTERRA is because back then, when we were living paycheck to paycheck and I could not even take off a day of piano lessons, there's no way if that would have happened at that time when we had no money, that I would be able to take off work. But both my husband and I were able to take off work indefinitely, and we were right there by his side at the hospital in intensive care unit 24 hours a day. And that exact same month that that little boy had that accident, it was the same month we went Blue Diamond without working. So can you see what a blessing that this has been for us, and how my why of being with my family, being available, was so huge for me. And what kept me going is every single time, because many of you I know could be elite and premier or just starting in this business. And I'll just tell you, in the very beginning, you're not making a whole heck of a lot of money. You feel like you're working a lot, but the income isn't there. And that's just kind of how this business works, because later on, it all pays off. It really does. And I will never forget, in the beginning, I think I was elite premier, I can't remember, but I was traveling with my sister one day. And on the way home in that car, I will never forget the conversation we had. We were saying, how much money did you make? And it was like $200, $250. And we both sat there thinking how many hours we had just worked. We've been gone that entire weekend from our family. And we were looking at this going, are we crazy? Like, did we just join something that was just a huge ripoff and we're paying all this money out? We're not seeing any money coming in and we're spending a lot of time on it. And I remember really thinking, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And I almost gave up. And what kept me going was the fact that when I got home that night, I looked at my son who needed those braces and I thought, nope, Diane, you can't give up. You have to keep going. My why was strong enough that it pushed me through the hard times. So when we talk about your why and knowing what your why is, why are you doing doTERRA, it needs to be so strong that when you think about it, you get emotional. And it's going to push you through whatever hard times come. So when we talk about step number 1, your why, I want you to get real with it. And not just say, I want to pay off my debt. It has to do something that has nothing to do with money. Money can be a part of it, but it has to be something that is so deep within you that it's going to drive you. So hopefully that gives you a little idea about why your why is so important. It'll push you through those hard times. Okay, so let's go back to this. We're going to set a goal. Okay, so you found your why, it's strong enough, you know it's there. Let's set a goal. And what I always help my people when they first start out is to hit elite in 6 weeks. Or if you're just jump starting your business, you're already in doTERRA, is to have 3,000 overall volume within 6 weeks. What you do right now, when you schedule this 1 week of your 4 classes, will determine your outcome in 6 weeks. So let's look at this a little bit, okay? So why elite? This is so important. Elite is 3,000 in overall volume, and it's the first stepping stone, and here's why. So if you see elite has 3,000 in overall volume, it takes 3 elites to hit silver, and it takes 9 elites to hit platinum, and 12 elites to earn diamond. So you can see that elite is the stepping stone to just about every single rank within this business. Let's look at this a little closer. So here we go, silver, 3 elites, which is 3,000 overall volume. So if you learn how to hit elite, and then you teach 3 other people to do that, can you see how silver is really not that hard? The silver makes on average about $2,000 a month. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so let's look at platinum. So platinum has 9 elites. Okay, so if you learn how to hit elite or 3,000 in volume within 6 weeks, and then you just duplicate that with 9 other people, you can hit platinum, which is about $6,000 a month. Seriously, this is really just a numbers game, right? Just however many people you can find and teach them to do what you did, and there it goes. And then there's diamond, okay? Now, the reason why I show this is because at the beginning when you start your business or whatever level you're at, sometimes diamond seems like so hard. It's like up there. You're like, I'll never hit diamond. Well, look at this picture here. If you can find 12 people that can duplicate what we're going to teach you today of how to hit elite in 6 weeks, then diamond isn't so far away. And the average diamond makes about $10,600. That is life-changing. Life-changing for anybody. And that's exactly what it was for us. So I'll tell you what I did. I set a goal because where we were at that time, I was not willing to live that way anymore. I was just done of living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to see my kids, not being available. And so I set a goal. I am going to hit diamond, and I'm going to do it in about 2 years. And I knew at that time I couldn't close my studio. We needed that income. So I figured if I can teach 2 classes a week until I hit diamond, then that would be about right. And I did the math and I figured it out, and I could duplicate the amount of people that I needed, and it worked. And that's the program I'm going to show you today. Okay, so here we go. So you have your goal, you've set up your why. We're now going to move on to step 2, which is schedule 4 classes in 1 week. And if anybody is watching this and you're having a heart attack saying, I can't do 4 classes in 1 week, are you kidding me? Well, remember, this program is called Jumpstart Your Business, which means you're not going to do something that's really easy. It's going to be something a little out of your comfort zone. So if 4 classes are out of your comfort zone, congratulations. That's where the magic happens. That's where something really, really cool is going to happen for you if you feel this is hard. Now, I will be honest with you. If you have a full-time job, it might be really, really hard to do 4 classes in 1 week. You still could do it. It just depends on the hours that you work. But if you absolutely feel you couldn't do, you could do 2 classes in 1 week and 2 classes the following week, okay? So keep that as an option. Don't feel like you're stuck to this and have to do it or die, okay? So let's talk about this. Let's just assume you're going to schedule 4 classes in 1 week. This is what I did, and I'll tell you where this came from. So you see I have a class here on Tuesday during the day, one on Tuesday in the evening, one on Wednesday in the evening, and then one on Saturday. So why do that? Where did this come from? So when I first started with doTERRA and I decided I'm going to do this as a business, I first scheduled my class on Wednesday. Okay, so right here is what I did. And I remember calling up a few friends saying, hey, are you interested in essential oils? I'm having the class, and I made a little invite. And I had people tell me that, well, I want to come, but I can't come on Wednesday. I always have, whatever happening on Wednesday. So can you do a Tuesday? And I thought, okay, fine. I'll change the class to Tuesday. So when I changed it to Tuesday, I had people say, well, I was planning on coming on Wednesday. I thought, fine, I'll just do 2 classes and they can pick. And then I thought, you know what? There was people who said they can only do a daytime. There's some people who can only come on Saturday. What if I just set up a class time and they get to choose which class they're going to come to? Like, wow. That would be awesome. That, for me, if somebody were to do that for me, I'd be like, oh, cool, I can pick which one works for me. I had no idea how brilliant this was. Every once in a while, I get fabulous ideas, and I think this was one of them. I just didn't even know at the time. So let me tell you what was really, really good about this. When I invited people to those classes, number one, I told people, if you bring a friend, I'll give you a free gift. So they would come to this class, okay? So this first class, I only had about 5 people who came to this. And from that class, I told them, hey, if this was exciting to you and you want to come back to another one, grab a friend and bring someone to this class tonight, okay? And then I had them come to this class and the same thing until by the end of this whole entire week, I had 13 enrollments, okay? So it started off, number one, I learned how to teach a class because I saw 4 classes back to back within 1 week. And there wasn't enough time for me to forget what it was taught at the Tuesday class, then going on to the Wednesday class. I remembered it because it was just yesterday. And it also added some momentum to my business that I never would have had before. For instance, if I had just hosted 1 class this 1 week, and then one maybe in 2 weeks, could you imagine? I would have forgot exactly what was taught, number 2. I may have had 1 or 2 classes booked or 1 or 2 enrollments, and then I would have had to start all over again inviting those same family and friends, where I invited everybody I knew to all 4 of these classes, and it truly jump-started me for a huge, successful business. And it was awesome. It worked great. So I encourage you, if you want to jumpstart your business, schedule 4 classes within 1 week. And let me give you a few little tips about this. Oh, there's what my invite or something would look like. Now, back a long time ago, my invite didn't look like this. This is an updated one, but it would look a little bit like something like this. You're welcome to use this idea, but just put all 4 of your dates on here for them to choose from, okay? They get to choose whichever one they want. Just make it cute and fun and whatever you would like. I made this on Canva. You are welcome to ask me. I can send it to you, and you can put your own information on there. Okay, so let me give you some tips for scheduling these 4 classes. First of all, choose days and times that work best for your friends and family, okay? Every time I have taught this before, it's kind of funny how people come back and they chose the exact same days that I chose, the Tuesday day, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Saturday. Well, the only reason I chose those is because that's when my friends and family were available. If that's when your friends and family are available, great, do it. But typically, they may not be. It may be a Thursday night that works better for your friends, or a Thursday day, or maybe your friends are party people for Friday nights and they all come on a Friday. So in other words, schedule it with what works best for you and your friends, okay? Now, if you are a brand new wellness advocate, this is considered your training, okay? So if you are a leader right now who have people that you're trying to train, this is their training. These 4 classes are their training. So what you want to do is just keep it to the same basic class. Did you know that in the 5 years that I've been in doTERRA, I've always taught the same basic class? I've never taught anything different. I may call it something different, but it's the same basic class. So keep to the same basic class, okay? Your enroller or your upline is going to present the first class, and then you would help with the second, and then a little bit more with the third, and then by the 4th class, you should be able to teach the majority of it, and maybe your upline or leader could help you close. Now, why would I be so mean and make sure that by the 4th class they're teaching it when I could be available and teach it for them? I'm so mean, aren't I? The reason is because this is all their training. The best thing that somebody can do is actually teach their own class. You're never going to know everything. You're never going to feel like you have it 100% down. So the best thing to do is just go out there and do it. and to look at your, whatever it is you're teaching from, and that little rip pad, the information, and just go do it and get it over with. Nobody did great on their first class, but just doing it was the most important thing, okay? Now, if you're a seasoned wellness advocate, like you've been in the business for a while and you're like, I think I want to do this, I would actually suggest that you do something different than the basic class, because chances are, I'm just going to guess, that most of you have already invited your friends and family to several classes, and if you invite them again, they'd go, really, we're doing this again? So you need something exciting and fun to invite them to that's going to be different than the basic class. And then once you get what you need from these classes, then you would go back to the basic class. Does that make sense? So you want to have a themed class. In other words, something like essential oil bingo. This is always a hit. Essential oil bingo, if you haven't heard about it, just means that you're going to have classes where they have a little bit more fun. It's just a piece of paper with 25 squares on it. And as you teach your class, you're going to come up with 25 words that they're going to put and fill into that bingo board. And then at the end, you play bingo and you win prizes. It's quite fun. So if you want more information on that, I have flyers and all kinds of things on that. I will be posting on my My Oil Place team page. Okay, you can go look for that. I'm a mood management class. Who doesn't have moods, right? If there are good moods, bad moods in between. Right now we might call that an emotion on oils class, something like that. Speed oiling. If you've not heard of speed oiling, it's kind of fun, kind of like speed dating, right? So speed dating is when you sit across from the table from somebody and you have 5 minutes and you talk to them and ding, and you switch and they move to the next person, ding, they switch. This is very similar, where speed oiling would be you sit at a table and somebody teaches you about those specific oils. Let's say oils for cleaning, okay? 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, ding, switch, and you move to another table. This one's talking about oils for pain management. Next one, we would switch, ding, it would be another one that they learned from. So it's just really kind of a fun way to get up and move around and have a fun way to do a class. You would need more than one person to do this. There have to be a group of you, but it's really just a fun way to get people out and learning more about essential oils. A secret shopper event, this one is basically where you put things around the room and they put tickets in front of those products around the room. And the shopping event happens when you earn tickets for bringing a friend, for RSVPing, and they take those tickets, they put it in front of the products that they want, and at the end, you pull out the winner. The secret is not knowing what you're going to win, and you're shopping for different items. So just another fun way. Again, I teach the same class at all of these. We just call it something different. Roller remedy is where you're just going to talk about different remedies that you can put into a roller bottle. Okay, and it could be an owie blend. It could be a blend for anxiety. It could be a blend for whatever you want to call it. If it's a kid one, you would use something for calming oils, right? And everybody would go home with maybe their own roller bottle remedy. You get to choose how you want to work that. And the last one is the oil game. And basically how I do this one is I give everybody a book, and then I ask questions, and it's basically questions straight from what I normally teach. Okay, so where does an oil come from? And you ask questions directly from the book. They open it up, they answer it on a piece of paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they get tickets for answering them correctly. So it's really just a fun way to teach a class. That's all it is. So there you go. So seasoned wellness advocates, you do something a little bit fun, themed classes. If you're brand new, you really want to keep to the basic class. But either way, you're going to do those 4 classes and invite people to come to them. Okay? All right, so step number 3. We've already scheduled our 4 classes. We all have them all set up. They're on great dates. Step number 3, you're going to make sure you have a strong attendance at these classes. Okay? This is exactly what I did from day 1 to get a strong attendance at these classes. And if you do this right and you do it 100%, you won't have to do this over again. Okay? You'll just teach the people that are hosting classes for you how to do this. So this is what it's called. It's the 3-contact method. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a guest list of 100. Okay, now notice there's a plus by that. I've had people who made a list of 100 and stopped. If there's more people you know, then stick them on the list. So don't stop at 100, but just make a huge guest list. And a lot of people don't do this. They just kind of like, oh, they make an invite, and I think I'll invite my friend such and such. Actually make the list. You will be impressed with how many people you come up with. Number 1, if you have a Facebook account, you have more than 100 on there, guaranteed, right? Okay, so make your guest list, and then you're going to have 1 contact, which will be the invite, and however you decide you want to invite, that is completely up to you. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Then there's going to be a 2nd contact. That's the follow-up invite, okay? And the 3rd contact is the day before call or text. So let's go into detail about these 3 contacts. By the way, the reason why we have these 3 contacts is mainly because most people you may not know this, you may be one of those who think this. They'll think, if I invite these 100 people and I send them this invite, whether you do it in the mail or by text or by Facebook, they think that they're going to see the invite, put it in their calendar, and make it a priority on their list and come to the class. That is not how it happens at all. These people have lives and they have things they're doing, and they probably think, oh, that's kind of cool, but it kind of gets in the back of their list of important things. And so these contacts are just a way to keep that in front of them. Make sure that they're like, oh yeah, that class, I wanted to go to that. That's all we're doing. We're just keeping it in front of their face. So here we go. When you make your guest list of 100, let's talk about this a little bit more because it's so important. That guest list of 100 is going to be your one-time blowout class. So just invite the world, just do it, okay? If you're right now going, really have to make a list of 100, that's gonna be so time-consuming. I don't know who I'd put on the list, just do it. Sometimes you just have to get out of your comfort zone and do hard things, and this is going to be one of them, okay? If you do it right, you will not have to do this again. So I'll just tell you a little bit about this. When I first did these 4 classes, I invited the world, and I invited my friends and family, and because I got bookings from those classes, I no longer had to go back and invite my friends and family again. Number one, because I did not want to feel like they had to help me or they had to support my business. I want people who wanted to be in my business. I wanted people who wanted to use essential oils, not people who felt sorry for me or felt like they had to help me. Does that make sense? So once you get out of your friends and family and you do this the right way, you're then working with people who like essential oils and want to be there, okay? So that's a really important part of this. Okay, the second one, don't prejudge who will be interested. This one I will admit to, because in the very beginning I had somebody who I thought, oh, they might want to go to a class. Then I thought, well, you know what? Their husband is a doctor. They're probably not interested. I'm not going to invite them. So I didn't give her an invite. Turns out, a year later, she said to me, hey, Diane, don't you do essential oils? And I said, I do. And she goes, yeah, I just signed up. She signed up with somebody else. And she said, I know you had some classes, but you never invited me, so I wasn't quite sure. So a friend had a class, and I went to hers. And I thought, really? Oh, my goodness. Okay. So that was me prejudging. So don't do it. Just don't do it. All those people you prejudge are going to enroll with somebody else. Okay, number 3, don't rule out those that you don't know yet. Seriously, like my neighbor, I invited them. I didn't know them very well. I actually had my daughter just go and she taped an invite to their door and they came. Isn't that cool? I didn't even know them very well. So had I missed out on that, you never know what would have happened. And then I said this before, don't stop at 100. Just make that list and just go for it. Okay, so your first contact. Now, this is typically going to be about 2 weeks before the class. And I say about because sometimes it just depends on your schedule. If it's 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks or just about 2 weeks is when you're going to do this invite. And the invite can be in person, which I highly suggest. I found that the people who were more likely to come to my classes were those who I actually had an invite in hand, okay? And I had a little sample that I gave them, and I talked to them. So here, there are 3 contacts, right? So number 1, they were able to feel and smell the oils that I just gave them. They were able to read the invite that I gave them, and I was able to talk to them so they could hear it. So that's 3 different ways that I was contacting them, and those are the people who came to the class. The majority of those were there at the class. So remember that. Always try to do that most, okay, in person. And then there's by mail, by email, or you can leave it at their door. Now, the very first time I did my classes, I was a little hesitant and I was a little embarrassed because I didn't want to be the crazy oil lady. I don't care anymore if I'm the crazy oil lady, but back then I didn't want people to think that. So I was hesitant to talk to people I wasn't familiar with. And so what I did was I had my kids actually go and get invites and tape them to my neighbors' doors. Is that crazy or not? I didn't have a lot of those people come, but I did have people later on ask me questions about them. So you can leave it at their door. Email, sometimes people don't read nowadays, but it can work, or just actually send it in the mail. Facebook is a good way, not always the best, but it can work. I would just actually message them and let them know, hey, I invited you to this class. I hope you can come. It's on this date. And I actually put you in an event so that they know that it's there. Okay. And then a text invite, which nowadays I have found is the absolute most effective way to invite people. Do you know that people will see a text within 3 minutes? Yep. You can send people an email and they may not see it for days. You can see it on Facebook, they may never see it. Hand it to them in person is awesome, but actually sending it in a text, they'll see it right away. So if you can make an actual invite picture, like the one that you just saw of mine, and make it a picture or a meme that you can send through a text, That is one way you're going to get a really huge amount of people to come, because they'll see that text and they'll see it in a picture rather than just words. So I would definitely try that. And then again at the bottom, remember, those who've had an oil experience before the class are more likely to enroll at the class. If it's their first experience to have an oil, they probably won't enroll that day. They need another experience. So if you can give them an oil experience before the class, that's always a bonus and a plus. Okay, so that's your first contact done about 2 weeks before the class. Contact number 2, and this was done about 1 week before the class, okay? So you've sent out all your invites, and now it's time for you to just make sure you're putting a little nudge to somebody and say, don't forget, here's my class. But we don't want to send them a reminder. You know what? I found people don't really like to be reminded, because then you're assuming they forgot, right? We don't want to assume anybody forgot. So really, it's just a fun way to say, hey, this class is coming up, right? So this is what I do. I will call or text those that I gave invites to. And if I actually gave them a sample, I will text them and say, hey, tell me your experience with the oil sample that I gave you. And most of the time it was wild orange and peppermint. And if I already knew what their experience was, then I obviously wouldn't ask that, but I would say something about it. Hey, I gave you that sample. I wanted to make sure you used it. Did you use it on your daughter or whatever? Something to remind them that I gave you that invite with that little, oil sample. If you left the invite at the door, then you can just call or text and say, hey, I just want to make sure you got the invite, right? That's a great way to keep in front of them. And typically they'll say, oh, yeah, I did. What was that for again? Or, yeah, I've heard about these. Or, and it just starts a conversation up. Another way is if you gave the invite in person, then you're going to say, well, I want to make sure you understood what the invite was. Okay, so you're kind of getting this, that you can come up with any kind of a way. It's just a way to contact them without reminding them. Just to remember, oh yeah, I'm hearing from her again. They're just hearing from you, whatever you decide to come up with. So another one would be if you sent them an email or a Facebook invite, then you can just send a message, hey, I sent you an invite, just want to make sure you saw it. Okay, I sent it to you a few days ago, did you get it? So in other words, just another way to keep your name in front of them. Okay, anything you can do to personalize it, do it. If you had a conversation specifically with them about something, remind them of that or mention it again. So the number 2 contact is just keeping your name in front of them. Okay, however you want to do that. These are just some ideas. Okay, contact number 3. This is the day before or the day of the class. So if your class is at 7 o'clock in the evening, then you have all day that day to do it. If it's at 10 o'clock in the morning, obviously it's going to be the day before, okay? And I just call this the letting you know call or text. Again, I don't ever like to remind people and say, remember my class is tomorrow. That for whatever reason, that just seems like a negative way to contact them. But if I were to say, hey, just wanted to let you know that when you come on time tomorrow, there's going to be an on-time prize drawing. Or, hey, just want to let you know that when you come to my class, you bring a friend, you're going to get a free gift. Notice I'm saying when you come to the class, right? I'm not saying if you come. I'm saying when you come. Now, I need to redo this. Look what I wrote on here. If you bring a friend. So it should say when you bring a friend. Okay, we're going to mark that out. So when you come on time, when you come to the class, you're going to get a sample. When you come to the class, there's a special of the month. So find something really cool that you can just let them know and text them about it. And it's always going to be a positive of when they come. This contact actually determines the outcome of your whole class. Did you know that? If you never make this contact, the amount of people that are going to attend your class really is cut in half. So if you run out of time and you're not able to do all 3, which I don't suggest you do that. Like sometimes I feel like I'm giving people an out to not do all 3. But if you have a full-time job and your life is just crazy, cut out the middle one and do the 3rd one. This one is really the most important of all of them because the class is just coming up like the next day. So you've got to do this right the day before or the day of the class. Here's the kind of important thing. So this is more for women than men. Men, I don't know, maybe you do this too, but we decide if we're going to go to an event or a party or whatever it might be, actually the day of. And the reason is because we never know what's going to happen that day. So if you have kids or a meeting at work or whatever it might be, and you just feel like you're running behind and it wasn't a good day, and you get to like 2 hours before the class and you look at yourself in the mirror and go, really, I have to put makeup on now. Or if you're at work and like, oh my gosh, I got home late. You kind of decide, I don't think I want to go to that class tonight because they didn't get an invite or reminder. But if they did, they feel like they need to go because they told you they would be there, right? Or they got that little invite from you. So it's just a way, again, to keep it in front of them so that they know the importance of the class. Okay, so now we've set up our 4 classes. We've ensured a strong attendance because we've done the 3 contact method. This is step number 4, getting future classes on your calendar. I cannot begin to tell you how important this is. It is so important that I would say if there's anything in your entire business you're going to learn today, it's this. Because the majority of the people who no longer are in doTERRA is because of this problem right here. They already invited their friends and family, and they had a class. People enrolled in the class. Okay, they had another class. They had more people who were invited, friends and family, and they rolled the class. But they never got bookings to get their business to continue to move forward. So if you are not continuing to get classes on your calendar, you get frustrated. You feel like I've already invited everybody. I don't have anybody to invite, and you kind of just stop. Okay, some of you right now are thinking, that's me, I'm right there. Oh my gosh, I've already invited my friends and family. If you can learn how to effectively get classes on your calendar from your current class, your business will continue. That was the secret to my success. When I decided that I want to hit diamond in 2 years, I'm going to teach 2 classes a week no matter what, it all came down to making sure I had classes on my calendar. And I did. And I learned this really, really well from the very beginning. And I continue to do this and follow it so that up till 2 years, I was still holding 2 classes a week. And it was all from this tip that we're going to show you. Okay, so let's go to number 2. You're using your warm market to tap into other people's warm market. That's the whole point of this right here. So when you hold those 4 classes and you're going to invite your friends and family, even if they've already been invited before, because you're going to have those fun classes, right? The bingo class or something that you're going to do that's different. You are going to use their warm market to then tap into somebody else's warm market. And then you start working with that warm market, and that taps into another warm market. So you're never using the same market over and over and over again. That is the biggest part right now. Building your business is not staying in the same group. Get out of that group, because chances are you're annoying those people. You really are. And you probably don't want to admit it, but those people don't want to be invited over and over and over again. So invite new people. Okay, here's number 3. This is it. When you get outside of your friends and family, that's when you become the expert. This is where your business officially starts. So anytime when I'm working with somebody and they say, guess what, I got a booking and I don't know this person. Woo, that's where the party begins. And I get so excited with them because that means that's somebody who truly wants to learn about oils. And they're not doing it to just help you. They're not doing it because, well, she's my sister or my aunt or my niece, whatever. I think I'll book a class with her. I'll just help her out. We don't want people to help us out. We want people to work with who love essential oils. So get out of your friends and family. And this right here is going to teach you how to do that, okay? So ready to learn what it is? You need to be the expert and get out of that little group you're in. So the secret is all about the prize drawing slip. It's your golden ticket. So if you have never used a prize drawing slip, now is your time to get it. You can get it at My Oil Life. This is the one that I use just because it has all the information on that I need. And I believe it's $1.50 for a pat of 50. And so this is what you're going to do. At the end of your class, you're going to stand up. And if you're the one hosting the class, or if there is a host, you pretty much do the same thing. You're going to stand up and just say, thank you for coming to the class. I appreciate you all coming. And I want you to know that anybody who hosts the class gets a free gift, okay? So you're gonna bring up the host if you have one and say, just for hosting the class, you are going to get, and you present to them whatever it is you give your host for hosting the class. There is no host. Again, you're just going to say, I love to take care of my host. If anybody wants to host a class, you're going to get, and I'll tell you what I give. I just have a bag that's filled with 5 milliliter oils, just the little small oils. They cost me about $2.50. I put a lot of wild orange in them. And they get to choose an oil out of that bag. So can you imagine the host is standing right by me, or I'm by myself, and I'm showing them, look at all these cool oils that are in here, and she gets to pick one. So the host is kind of rummaging through there, kind of pick one. And then I say, because the host had 6 in attendance, she also gets a free gift from me of a diffuser, okay? So if you're not familiar with really inexpensive diffusers, I hope that you learn about them. My husband actually has diffusers. I know that Sandra can get diffusers. Roger has diffusers. Somebody out there has diffusers you can get very inexpensive. They have some out there right now. They're about $15. If you're not quite sure where to get them from or how to get them, please contact us and let us know, or contact your leader. It is very inexpensive to give a diffuser to a host for a gift, okay? So 6 in attendance and you get this fabulous, wonderful diffuser. So here these people in this class are watching this thinking, huh, I want a diffuser. That's kind of cool. Or I want a free oil, or whatever it is that you're giving. They're going to think, I want one of those. And right then, is the time for you to use that prize drawing slip. And if you are giving out the prize drawing slip at the beginning of the class, you need to stop doing that. That's not effective at all. If you're giving it out at the end of the class, that's not effective. The best time to use that prize drawing slip is right at the end of the class, right after you've just told them what you can get for hosting a class. That's when they're thinking in their head the most, I think I might want to host a class, okay? Timing is everything for this. So here's what you're going to do. You take that little prize drawing slip and you're going to say, okay, just announced what you're going to get for hosting a class and say, all right, it's time for a prize drawing, yay. So take your little prize drawing slip. I personally go around the room and I hand one to each person. I look them in the eyes, okay? And I say, fill this out together. I always fill it out together. I don't let them fill it out themselves. And this is what I do. So together, all right, everybody put your name on the top. And then I want you to put your phone number, then put your email. And I just want you to know this is not for spam. This is only for me. I'm the only one that's going to keep this just in case I need to contact you for something, okay? So they all fill that out. Here's the deal. If you don't tell them to do that, they just put their name on the top and turn it in because they just want to win the prize, okay? It's really not about the prize. It's the information at the bottom. So then I go through at the bottom. So let's answer the question. So the first one is, well, you would like more information about getting a wholesale account. Basically, that means you're just going to get 25% off anything that you would like to. That's what a wholesale account is. If you're interested in that, go ahead and mark a yes or a maybe on there. Second one, if you'd like to host a class, which is what we're doing tonight, and we just talked to you about some cool prizes you can get for hosting a class. If that interests you, go ahead and put a yes or a maybe. And here's the deal. Anybody who says that they want to host a class and puts a yes or maybe, you're going to get your name in the drawing twice. So let me know and I will give you an extra prize drawing slip, okay? Then they have a better chance of winning the prize. Here's the funny part, guys. They don't even know what the prize is yet. I haven't even told them. They have no idea. They just know they want to win a prize. Isn't that funny? People will do anything for a prize. Okay, and the last one, it says if you'd like more information about my job, what I do. So if you're interested in how much money I make, how many hours I work, what it takes, how much fun I have, go ahead and mark that on there. I'd be happy to tell you more information. Okay, so then I just gather those prize drawing slips up, put them in my hand, and right there in front of them, I actually look at the names and I see, oh, yay, Mary, you said you wanted to host a class. Awesome, let me give you another prize drawing slip. And I just rip one off and I tell them, just put your name on the top. That's all I need. And she gives that back to me. And okay, John put down a maybe. Awesome, John, you're going to get in an additional drawing slip as well. And I give him one. Now, why do I do that in front of everybody? The reason is because they're thinking in their head, Mary likes oils. She's going to host a class. Maybe oils aren't so crazy, right? Who knows what they're thinking in their head? But when you announce right there that there's two people who want to host a class, they in their mind might think, maybe I should host a class. And sometimes there's somebody there who says, okay, I think I do want to do this. And so then we'll give them another prize drawing slip. Kind of cool. And you don't want to do this in secret and go to the side. Do it right there in front of everybody. It's really important to do that right there in front of everyone. Now, why do I do it for people who put a maybe? Like, if they're going to maybe host a class, that really isn't a yes. Well, a maybe is somebody thinking, I think I want to host a class. That means I have to actually clean my house. Oh my gosh, I'll put a maybe. So they do want to host a class, right? It's just a maybe. You can help them get through that. Or they're thinking, I really want to host a class, but my mom won't be in town for a few weeks, and I don't know, I need to see when she's available. I'll put a maybe. So it's really a yes. That just means they have a question. So always count the maybes. Here's the other cool thing I use this prize drawing slip for. And this is huge. I highly suggest you do this. Turn that prize drawing slip over. And when you are talking to anybody, okay, write down notes on the back of that prize drawing slip. Guaranteed you won't remember everybody, what they said, what they told you, but if you have it written on the back of the prize drawing slip when you call them later, you can say, oh, I remember you told me your son has asthma, or I remember you're waiting for your mom to come in town, or I remember you told me that you wanted to buy Serenity for this, or you were interested in that, we're waiting for your tax return. Whatever it might be, write it on the back of that prize drawing slip. Can't tell you how many times I called somebody and they were so impressed that I had all that information they remembered. It personalizes it, makes them feel important to you. In this business, that's huge because it's all about building trust. So that's how I use that prize drawing slip. So let me give you a little bit of tips on how to get people to schedule the very night of the class. You want them to not leave without scheduling a class. I know this because I've done it the wrong way. Somebody would schedule a class and I'd say, oh, you know what? I will call you in a few days and we'll set up a class. Thinking, yeah, cool, no problem. I don't have time to do that tonight. Are you kidding me? I've got all this stuff to do. No, do not let them leave without scheduling on their calendar, okay? Mainly because you're busy, they're busy. The chance of getting a hold of them again is just going to be difficult. And then after the second or third phone call or text you left them, then it gets a little awkward. Like, then you feel like you're chasing them and they're kind of getting annoyed that maybe I don't want to do a class. And maybe they're not excited anymore after a week of, yeah, I was excited that night, but I don't think I want to do it anymore. You've got to get them at the time they're most excited, okay? So have your calendar, your phone, whatever is available right then, and tell them, this is what I use, my next 3 dates is what I tell them. Don't show them your calendar, by the way. You don't want them to say, oh, you have this on your whatever. You don't need to know how open your calendar is or how tight it is or that you're going on a date on Friday night. You just tell them right there. I have 3 dates available, and these are August 12th at 7, August 14th, or we have a daytime class I can do on a Saturday, or you give them the 3 days. You're in control of your own calendar, and then ask them which one works best for you. And the majority of the time, one of those will work. Now, if they tell you I can't do any of those, then say, okay, let me give you my next 3 dates, okay? But you want them to schedule it right then, right there, okay? And then I always suggest to have them give them something right then they're going to go home with. And I just found something new. Wasn't planning on showing this, but I'll show it to you. It's called, this is a brand new form that I've been using. I don't know if you can see there because of the light, but it's a form that I get from Live Naturally. And this is the only people who do this, but it's a form you actually give to your host. And it's a way they make a list of all the people that are coming to the class, tips for success, what to do, how to do it, how to commit to the date. So that's an actual little thing you're sending them. It's just a little small thing. I think this cost me 50 cents. And again, you can go to Live Naturally to get one of these. And you can write on there the actual date and everything they need to know about their class. So I highly suggest you give them something. If it's not this, then give them something. Okay? Again, that's from Live Naturally. And make sure they go home with something. If they don't go home with something and a date set on their schedule, it's not real to them. You want to make sure that this is real to them. I actually scheduled a class. This is going to work. I'm very excited, okay? If you actually send them home with even samples of wild orange, even better. Like, tell them, if you can sample 6 people before the class, I will give you these little things, make up ahead of time. If you have time to do that, awesome. Okay, here's the deal. You need to be consistent. Just like I said, hosting 2 classes a week for the next 4 weeks is what's going to give you the success, okay? Now, hosting 2 classes a week was what I decided to do until I hit Diamond. If that's what you want to do, go for it. Use all of these tips that we showed you and you'll get there. If that's not something you're like, I think I just want to do 1 class a week, absolutely fine. Just make sure you're consistent at whatever that is. But I do suggest that for 6 weeks, you do those 2 classes just to get the momentum going and get the classes on your calendar, okay? So this is kind of what it looks like. So our goal was that within 6 weeks, we were going to hit elite or have 3,000 in overall volume just to jumpstart our business. And this is what it looks like. So the first week, you're going to have 4 classes that you scheduled, okay? There's the 4 classes that I did. The ones in red are the ones that are your personal classes. You're inviting your own friends and family to these, okay? The second week, there are not going to be any classes. Number 1, you're recuperating from those 4 classes, right? And number 2, anybody who booked classes from those original ones, they're not going to hold it the following week. They're going to hold it within 2 weeks. So that gives you enough time to hostess coach them, to know about that 3 contact method, to tell them how to get enough people at their class, right? And then week 3, you're going to hold 2 classes. Again, those are the times that I held classes. You decide what works best for you. Week 4, I did on a Wednesday and a Saturday. Week 5, Tuesday and Thursday. And then 6 with a Monday and a Thursday. Now, I'll tell you this. There were times that my week got really, really crazy and I couldn't do them during the week. So I did 2 Saturday classes back to back. But either way, I made a commitment that I was going to teach 2 classes a week no matter what. And I did. And if it was on a Saturday, 2 back to back, I just let my family know, Mom has 2 classes back to back. You get to decide exactly what that's going to be for you, okay? All right, so what's the outcome? Number 1, you're going to have enrollments. So if you have those 4 classes and you have people who come to the classes and you have bookings from that class, number 1, you're going to get enrollments. You're going to be trained, actively know how to teach a class. And even if right now you are teaching classes, but you kind of feel like, I'm not good, I need to do something different. Can you imagine if you taught 4 classes back to back? You're going to be up on teaching classes again. You're going to be on top of your game. You're going to have a great fast start check. Can you imagine all of those enrollments that you got and the 20% you're going to get from all of those? This was huge for me because in the beginning, we didn't have any money. I enrolled with a family physician's kit because that's all the money we had. And we didn't have anything to then use for our loyalty rewards the following month. So that fast start check really saved us. Here's the other thing. You're completely set up for a successful business. You know how to train future business builders because you're going to teach them what you just did, right? Awesome. That makes it duplicatable. And then you have future classes on your calendar. That's going to keep your business going so you don't have to start all over again. It's just a way to make sure that you have a business within 3 months because you're continuously getting bookings. You've also learned how to set the foundation for a strong business. Everything that you learned, you can then duplicate and teach to other people. And that's what we want. This is not something that's hard. It's not something that only those who've had a lot of experience can do. Anybody can do this. So let me tell you what my personal outcome has been from this. Within a year and 8 months of just teaching 2 classes a week, I hit diamond, and our first paycheck as a diamond was $10,000. That was life-changing for us. I told you that we had about $300,000 worth of debt. And what we did was, instead of using that $10,000 to increase our lifestyle, we continued to live off that same $3,000. And we just continually put that towards debt, towards debt, towards debt. Until we hit Blue Diamond, then we hit Presidential Diamond, doing the exact same thing. All I did was the same thing. The more classes I taught, the more people I found who wanted to do the business. Jumped in, showed them the exact same thing I just showed you. They ran with it, found some more, they ran with it. Same thing over and over and over again. I've never done anything different. I taught the same class over and over and over again. And what I want to tell you, and I don't tell this to everybody when I tell this on here, is that this has changed my life in a way I cannot even explain to you. Our last paycheck, and this is on average, we make this about every month, was about $30,000. That's in 1 month. And the reason why I tell you that is because I want you to know that this is real. This isn't just something that like, oh, she's telling me to do this and I know, but it probably won't work. It's real. I am telling you something that I did, and this is the outcome. And our life is completely changed. We are completely out of debt. No debt. We actually moved into a house that actually fits our family and it has more room to spare. And I have free time now to be able to bless and help other people. So when we talk about what's the outcome and the results, because I have no debt, I now have time to spend on other people. In other words, I now have a budget every single month that I get to put in that little budget of how I'm going to help somebody that month. Just the other day, I was at the store and somebody had their groceries they couldn't pay for. They were in front of me and they're actually going to put their groceries back. And I went up to him and I said, you know what, sir, how much money do you have? If you just want to give it to the cash lady and I'll just pay the rest for you. And he stood there and he had like little tears coming down his eyes and he got very emotional. I'm like, no, it's okay. I have been blessed and I've had other people help me in the past and I'm happy to help you. And I can't even begin to tell you what that does for me. This isn't just about money and being rich. I never wanted to be rich. I just want to be comfortable, be able to do things that will help my family. So when we talk about outcome, we're not talking about money. We're talking about so much in life that we can help other people with. So let's talk about next week. We have some classes coming up, and next week, we told you how to have people at your class, how to get them there, how to get bookings. We need to make sure that we're teaching effective classes. So next week, same time, we're going to have a class on basic steps to teaching an effective class. So make sure and join us at that time. And then if anybody has questions, I'm actually going to open up here and let's see if I know how to do this. We're going to unmute everybody. There we go. Okay, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask about what we just done today? Questions are not required, but just in case you do. Hey, it looks like I covered just about everything. Hey, thank you for being on the call, everybody. We will talk to you next week. Have a great week. See you later.